Joe, how's it going? I think that the most obvious,
There's a lane closure ahead.
the most obvious has got to be uninsured motorist coverage. Okay, so we got the situation where we got all these people out here, right? They're not even, some of them are just half-assed, but most of them are about 3/4 of an ass. So it's just, I mean, it's donkey all the way, you know what I mean? And then, the average person, you know, tries to do right and everything, and then you got these other people that just refuse to do right, no matter what, and that creates a different situation where the working class of folks, we are stuck with having to purchase things like uninsured motorist coverage. Okay, so that's really what everybody's mad about, right? We got our patriotic duty to live, you know, life, liberty, love of God, love of country, pursue happiness. Well, my pursuit of taking care of business and all these different things, it comes down to you got your morals, your ethics, make it make sense, and can I afford this shit? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. I mean, it would be great if, you know, la-dee-da, everybody's, you know, got their stuff squared away and they didn't have to earn it. Okay, yeah, that's one way of going about it, I suppose. Doesn't seem very effective, but I suppose, right? Anyway, the other way of looking at stuff is what do I gotta do to just navigate this deal and just, like, you know, keep my head down, keep working or whatever. And it's getting more expensive day by day, and now it's getting to the point where, you know, I spend $100 bill at the grocery store, and I get less than I used to get for a $20 bill. And I'm having to cut these quarters. Used to you cut quarters and buy a 20-pound sack of rice because you were like putting it in the pantry, and that's going to last you throughout the winter. You know what I mean? And in case there's a storm or whatever, you know. And it was only for that reason. And now, if you don't buy the 20-pound sack of rice, you can't afford to feed your family. So, the drastic cost that people are seeing, stuff like uninsured motorist coverage, and, you know, the hassle, you know, they got to block off 3 lanes of this highway because these people don't know how to drive. Like, if they don't block off 3 lanes of a 4-lane highway to build more highway on top of it, if they don't do that, these people will run over the workers and kill them. They have to do that to save lives. You know what I mean? This is a life and death, serious as a heart attack situation. And, boy, how difficult it is to navigate all the pressures of life. You know what I'm saying? It's substantial. You know what I mean? And they just keep adding to it. You know what I mean? This whole road is like the judicial system. You know what I mean? Every day there's thousands of people just coming up with new laws, and then they're overlapping, and you can't see, you know, which lane am I supposed to be in? You know what I mean? You got these lines going this way, those lines going that way. Now you got to hire a lawyer and go to court, spend all this money because some dude patented the ability to send an email. Like, are you shitting me? You know what I mean? Because my company sends an email, now everybody has patented that process of doing business. You know what I mean? So there's all this stuff about, theft of intellectual property, and then, whoever thought of it put the patent on, I'm not shitting you. I know that sounds stupid. Sending an email is patented, and you can be sued for sending an email to everybody in the office all at one time. That's for real. That's for real. There are people that all they do is sue people for a living. They're out there, a bunch of them out of Longview, Texas, as a matter of fact. And it's a whole thing. You know what I mean? If you're a successful business, you will get sued for some type of bullshit, and then you'll sign a non-disclosure to pay them some money to cease and desist the ongoing lawfare. So that's a whole thing, right? And they just keep adding just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. And where are we at? Where are we at? We're at the point of the hospitals are there to make money. Pharma's there to make money. You know what I mean? Yeah, they would love to make sure everybody's got what they want, but they've been living off of our spine for a long time. And then we shifted our manufacturing base. We lowered the number of banks in the United States. So we're seeing all these problems that come from consolidation. You know what I mean? When they consolidate it instead of leaving it as the individual. That's why you'll see Texas has fake wealth due to all these junk bonds. Well, they're bonds, but they're actually, in my opinion, worthless. And it's very bad. And they did what Congress did at the level of every township with a school. They call them independent school districts. The schools are selling bonds and then raising everybody's taxes, artificially inflating the value of homes because they built a road. So they take the taxpayer money, build a road, and now since you have a fancy road next to your house is worth more money. So you got to pay more taxes. And then the unrealized gains is not taxable under the Constitution. So if the value of my home goes up and they change my tax status, how much I owe them, maybe not percentage, but how much I owe, that is fraud. Because I don't get that money that house is worth unless I sell it. So that is literally unrealized gains, and all property tax, besides point of sale, is illegal. It's unconstitutional. And, where does all that go? They're finding out. There's a lot of, there's hundreds of us suing the Denton County, Texas. So that's interesting. And, there was a whole lot. I made a lot of these videos. I'm like, I went from nothing to a $635,000 house. Well, that, I paid my brother-in-law $220,000 3 years ago. So, I mean, it's not like it's the Taj Mahal. It is nice. It's very nice. Nicer than anything I thought I would have when I was growing up. However, what is this? Look at this guy. Look at this guy. There's no trucks in the left lane. And here's this dude. You know what I mean? Now, I got to make room for him. You know what I mean? Because he don't know how to drive. He don't know nothing. He don't know nothing. And the company knows that he don't know nothing. So they put a whole extra brake light in the middle. Which looks weird. But that's how you can tell they're south of the border. More than likely, Latin American owned and operated. Okay? So this guy presented me with an opportunity to, I've been looking into getting some trucks and stuff, and I keep saying if I can find drivers. Turns out I can find drivers. It turns out I can. I can put team drivers. I can have 7 trucks out here running down the road with 2 Spaniards one truck, keep them inside the state of Texas, lease the truck from Peterbilt, put them the money up front, get started. Bumper to bumper, fully coverage warranty. The lease is for 2 years. I qualify for 7 trucks. And this other outfit, they'll put teams in there. And they can do it totally legally. You know what I mean? And then I'm stuck with the morals. Like, am I going to put my fellow American out of business so I can get rich? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, fuck no, I ain't doing that. Because I mean, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. You know, they say that, yeah, how are you going to sell your soul if you gain the entire world but sell your soul? You've gained nothing. You'd have been better off just being broke. You know what I mean? Like, selfish ambition's bad. Godly ambition is great. I'm going to say that. Godly ambition is great. You know, and I want to be prosperous. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, I'm just documenting the journey. I mean, these are real situations. This is where the rubber meets the road. I mean, this is real deal Holyfield life and decisions a man's got to make. And, you know, biblically speaking, you know, if I paid him a fair wage or whatever else like that, that's legal according to the laws of the land. You know what I mean? Hey, it is what it is. But is it good for the country in the long run? You know what I mean? To bring these foreigners up here, put them in a truck, and turn them loose on the highway. You know, are they trained and blah blah this and that? There's a lot of questions there. I'm pretty sure the other company that would be hiring them would be you have to have 2 years of experience driving. Okay, but how are they vetting that? You know what I mean? Like, are they really driving? I mean, because, man, I've seen, you know, like, if you drive for 2 years, you know what I mean, in Guatemala, is that 2 years of driving through, you know, Texas? No, it's not. It's not even close to the same. Can you read the sign? Are you aware? You know, like this guy right here. See how I'm passing him down? He can't. His truck doesn't even go fast. He's all the way in the left lane. His truck's okay. Well, it will only run probably 68 miles an hour. The speed limit's 70. I'm going 70. Right? But back there where
traffic is getting worse. You're still on the fastest route. You will now arrive at 5:55 p.m.
He didn't realize that I'm faster than he is. So he might as well just stay behind me. He's going to do everything he can to jump out there in the left lane. And yeah, he's frustrated. He hasn't been on I-35 in the traffic. He doesn't know to just maintain your lane. Don't do all this swerving stuff. All you're doing is putting everybody at risk. So then we get out here on the big road. He's too inexperienced to realize that he's in a slow truck. All he sees is me going, you know, 64 up a hill because I'm heavy. You know what I mean? But, you know, he's a quarter mile behind me now that the traffic's flowing. And I know the traffic's fixing to flow because I have Google Maps, and it shows me where the end of the slowdown's at. I have a CB radio. I can talk to the other drivers and say, hey, which lane am I supposed to be in? Is there a wreck? Is it construction? Blah, blah. You know, my other phone's got Waze on it. They get ACE. You know, and yeah, so I mean, like, it's ridiculous. They don't know how to use the tools. They don't know what channel 19 is on the CB radio. You know, pro tip. I can't believe I have to say this. Put your radio on channel 19. It's called the Citizens Band Radio. The CB radio. And then if you see something, We need the Dukes of Hazzard back on TV. Everybody said, "Oh, that's a stupid show." Blah blah. This that. Well, I tell you what, it taught Americans how to talk to each other on a CB radio where everybody can hear and know what's going on in real time in a local location due to antenna restraints and power. But then, like, bro, the morals and ethics of Jesse, teaching them boys how to do stuff. We need more Uncle Jesse in the world, and then we need the do right, regardless of what the law says. God's law is above the laws of the government. You know what I mean? God's laws are the law. This other stuff is just a whole bunch of extra bullshit. Now, do we need the hassles of construction to be able to drive out here like this and have a road like this? You know what I mean? If you're bad at construction, just drive in the grass for a while. Just take your truck and just run it off in the river where there ain't no bridge and tell me how big a hassle that is. You mean, walk to work a couple days. You know what I mean? Just go walk 5 miles a day and tell me that a 13-minute delay is the end of the world. You see what I'm saying? Like, it don't make no sense. Why is everybody mad with these little old hassles and stuff? You know what I mean? And the pressure of getting there on time and do what you got to do. And to make all the ends meet, you're going to have to be away from your home more because the money don't go as far as it used to. I got too much month at the end of the money, because you've been living paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. It's like, like, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you need another job. You need another job. You need to make a sit down with your family and make a budget. And be like, look, here's this, here's that. Does this add up? Does this work? No. Okay. Here's the receipts from this card. Whatever card it is, you'll get a statement, right? And they break down that statement on that card. How much did I spend? For me, it's on the road, and that gets broken down into food and necessities like scale tickets and flat tires, whatever, right? And then I show my income and I also show my reimbursement stuff to make sure that makes sense. So that's a thing. And then, my debit card and on my auto pays and stuff like that. And then how much is food, how much is building material, yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? How much is discretionary spending? No, Coast, for example. There was some kid folk that worked at the nursing home, and she had a job Monday through Friday, blah blah, whatever, and then she would do. She'd go in Saturday night and stay there, and just stayed with the people, just did not leave. Like went there, ate with them the whole 9 yards, and she was on call, on staff, on the clock, at a decent wage, from like, I think it was 6 or 8 o'clock on Saturday till Monday, 7 a.m. or something like that. You know what I mean? So she got all those hours over the weekend. And do you think she took a nap while she was there? Of course she did. Of course she did. You know what I mean? But if the little buzzer beat that somebody needs some help, she'll go in there and be like, what's up, this and that, and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Because that's the thing. You know what I mean? I know a lady right now that she goes and sits with people that are on hospice. Like, she's not a medical person. She's not like, all she does is sit there and read a book. And then if the person's wanting to talk, she talks to them. And if she's wanting, if they, need assistance, she calls somebody and says, hey, I'm at this place, this is what's going on, this is the situation, whatever. But they're on hospice, they're about to die. You know what I mean? So, not everybody's geared for that particular job. But and she's making $30 an hour to sit there. Okay? So, I mean, this lady, if you seen her, if you walked in the room, you wouldn't know which one was on hospice. You know what I mean? Like, if she was sitting there asleep, and the other person was asleep, and you walked in the room, you'd be like, which one's the nurse or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And anyway, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, she's just old, you know what I mean? And old people asleep, it's like, are you with us? You know what I mean? I shouldn't be saying it that way. It's kind of funny, but it's also true. Anyways, and see how we got this nice bridge right through here? This was recently all under construction, and people were so mad it took so long to drive down through here. And now, 70 miles an hour. And they're all going, 75, 80. Every now and then you'll get one of them come zipping down through here going 100. Is that better? Which one do you like better? That's 1. 2 is too much. 5. It's just like all sky. Which one do you like better? Put it down in the comments. We'll go with that one. Looks pretty good. But you got to keep your eyes open at all times. For sure. But anyway, I was just thinking about that because I see that construction and I seen a couple of them bump into each other, and I'm just like, it's very unlikely that they both have insurance. You know what I mean? And then the extra cost for us to do those things. And then people say, oh, well, they're here, they're working, they're paying taxes. Are they? Are they really? But, well, if that's the case, if that's how we're going to be taxed, well, let's get rid of all the other taxes and let's just go with the sales tax. You know what I mean? If you purchase goods or services, let's just put a flat tax on that. And then everybody, regardless of status, everybody spending money in America would be paying the tax then, wouldn't they? Now, does that not make the most sense? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to bust my ass and build up to everything, and I have a house, and then I gotta pay extra because I have a house. But this other person that doesn't have a house, they don't have to pay no tax on their house. You see what I'm saying? Then you're gonna tell me that somebody's broke that don't work enough to afford insurance on their car. They hit me that my insurance got to pay for it. bring up uninsured motorist coverage. You know what I mean? Like, how much does that cost? You know what I mean? And it's the same. You should take the concept to every perimeter of life. You know, how long did you have to wait at the ER? You know, they were having 9-hour waits out there in California. And this one hospital that had 9-hour wait times after ICE went through there, you could just walk in, sign up, and they see you within 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And these places with this some kind of bullshit about universal health care. The Canadians come to the United States to use our system because their system don't work. You know how many times I go to the doctor when the bones are sticking out? I don't need the doctor. I have vitamins and nutrition and exercise. You know what I mean? And heaven forbid something go wrong. But even then, I mean, we're not going to find out till I'm, you know, dead. Because, and hopefully we don't find out then. I'm not a cadaver. You ain't gonna, yeah. Oh, pro tip. Don't give your body to science. Do not do that. Do not do that. They're gonna take your carcass and freaking do weird shit. No matter how you look at it. Okay? I'm just gonna say it's sin. But they're gonna do weird shit. There was one place that got busted that had they were doing weird shit. I don't even want to say it. It is shameful to speak of what the sinners do behind closed doors. And another place, it wasn't that weirdo shit, but it was a situation where they were using the bodies. You know what I mean? It was not scientific. You know, they're just like crash test dummy type stuff. And then another place, now this one was overseas. I seen where they was repurposing for animal food. You know, some Soylent Green type stuff going on. And it's just like, all of that falls under the heading of weird shit. Because that is, you know, you don't want nobody doing weird shit with your body. You know what I mean? You're fearfully and wonderfully created. And you don't want no part of that. And then that weird shit going on with them abortion places. Man, you don't want no part of that either. You know what I mean? And just look at how many things were conspiracy theories 10 years ago. And out of all the conspiracies, you know what I mean? Like, there's like 5 that are like, you know, they haven't been proven right. You know what I mean? Like, Alex Jones is right 90% of the time. He's the king of conspiracy, right? So do a case study on Alex Jones and how much crazy shit he says. And 10% of the time he's wrong. So this dude is, I mean, he's got a better average than Nostradamus. I'm not shitting at all. Hopefully you've heard the name. Well, hopefully you haven't heard the name. Anyway, Nostradamus was this dude. You can look that up while you're at it. It's a whole rabbit hole. This was like Captain Obvious with, you know, I'll say it happens later, super vague kind of guy. You know what I mean? If all my predictions are so vague, you know, eventually this will happen. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the volcano will erupt. Give it enough time. I don't know what the stats are, but that shit's gonna happen every now and then. And when it does, it'll be like, look, he told us what's gonna happen. So, you know, Captain Obvious and King of Vague, Nostradamus, you know what I mean? Alex Jones has got a better record than he does. Oddly says it before it happens. I'm going to say to the point that he's probably part of it. And you think that Alex Jones is anti-establishment, anti-deep state, and all that kind of stuff, you got to understand, all of that is to hurt you in whichever direction they want. know what I mean? Like, I was down there on the border. I started that guy, and oh no, I had to pick a guy up and take him back because his license passed out. And on the way back, this guy's like, he starts talking about, you know, he's affiliated or whatever. He's like, yeah, man, they'll give you, you know, $5,000 just take a box, you know, just don't ask no questions, whatever. I was like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. Like, I could, you know, after taxes, legit make $7,000. So why the fuck would I take $5,000? You'd be like, oh, hey, you could work for less money and go to Club Med. Fucking stupid. Anyway, I thought he was a piece of shit. And that was the end of it. But he did drive the truck. Like, I didn't know his license was messed up, so I was just like, took a nap while he drove. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. And I guess it'd be about 4 years ago. It was back when I first started going to Mexico. And that's the way it works. They don't force people into stuff. They try to tempt people into stuff. That's the only experience I've had over the years. But the most recent, you know, attack from Satan, it's like get these dudes to drive the truck that ain't American, and I'm just like, no, fuck that. Fuck that. I ain't gonna do that. But I think Texas really is as affiliated as it is, and as prosperous as it is due to the use of cheap labor. You know, especially like with these horse ranches and stuff. Man, they'll get these Spaniards. They'll trade their horses and work all freaking week long for like $200 bucks. Real. You know, just live right there in the barn, eat beans and rice, send $100 home, and you know, their family's living off of that. So the way they're doing it, everything's righteous, but because they'll take that wage, you know what I mean? And everybody's established it to be that way, and then they use their money, the boss man, you know, he's buying more land and stuff. He's lobbying the government to have a loophole for freaking, you know, agricultural land that's more than 200 acres or whatever. So that gets, you know, I'm paying, you know, through the nose. And then, you know, percentage-wise, my income, just to pay the taxes on my income and the taxes on my property and stuff like that, percentage-wise, you know, just W-2 with you know, H&R Block being my taxes. Yeah, it's like half. You know what I mean? And then like, if you pencil whip it, get Johnny Be Good, CPA, you know, to hire that lawyer firm, Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. The law offices of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. I gotta give my own credit for that job. Anyway, yeah, their percentage is like, you know, negative. Like, they're not paying taxes. You know what I mean? They approach it, they protest via lawyer saying these are unrealized gains. Well, they're going to change that pretty soon. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. There's major lawsuits, though. So that's very interesting. go to the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Let them explain to you how to have that vehicle. And I think it's the 2290 tax break or whatever, where you can write off the whole car. I'm pretty sure Trump did some kind of sign a piece of paper that there's the interest on the loan is tax deductible now. So you got the price of the car, the interest, and then you drive it as a pilot car, then make sure it's a pickup, right? They get you a boat. Enjoy that Bass Masters fishing. Now you're fishing for money, so you can write off. You can write off half the value one way and half the value the other. It's like 48%. There used to be. I don't know if it's changed or not. Back in the day, I worked with this guy Paul Hamilton, putting equipment in them industrial chicken houses. And shout out to Paul, man. That's a solid dude. He was a little bit off at the head because he got thrown off a bull and it stepped on his head. So he was a little bit, I don't know if well, he's from Arkansas, you know what I mean? So they're a little different anyway. And then he was slow in some ways on top of that. But dude, he was so focused on what he did. And like, dude, he had a house, a new truck. I mean, he really had it going on. We go in there and do the house would be built, and then we put the equipment in. And he's getting $25,000 per house on this 6-house farm in Fulton, Kentucky. We had for 98. You know what I mean? And then we go out there for 4 weeks and turnkey completed job. And he's paying us like fucking $25 an hour. Or the whole 9 yards. So this dude's, this dude's making $150,000 in 1998 in 2 months. You know what I'm saying? And then he's like buying a truck and like fishing for money and then writing off all his equipment and stuff. And then he parks in his yard. You know what I mean? Then he bought a bunch of just garbage land with all these hills and stuff that, you know, I mean, it's like a prepper's dream, you know, got a stream here, a pond there, you know, and he just put like 50 cows out there. You get a great big cow, little bitty bull, you know, let them reproduce, set up the land payment on a balloon. It's just after sale, you know what I mean? They'll have them in February, you sell them in June, the balloon payment's due, you know, in July, you know, like July, you know, 20. Every year, balloon payment like 50,000 towards the land. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I think it was 55,000 he paid once a year. Anyways, you know, it's just coming up and seeing all that. And seeing how people do and how they make their way. With it now. I don't know if it's because I'm in the truck or what. I think it's the cities, man. I think it's the cities. Nobody knows each other. Like in the country, we live 5 miles apart. You know what each other had for breakfast. You know what I mean? Like my neighbor would call me if somebody pulls in the driveway with like a tag that they don't recognize. Not make and model of the vehicle. They don't recognize the tag number. And they call me, hey Skip, you know such and such, this and that. I did not know that. Hang on a second. Bleep, blop, bleep. Yeah, I see him. Oh, that's Charlie. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, they're good people. Don't worry about it. You know? I should not say this at all. This is total OPSEC. But if you're watching this long, you're good people, I guess. Or the fans. Whatever. Over the CB or whatever communications, making a video on YouTube, whatever like that. Like you can talk about something and they bring up a scripture. You know what I'm saying? Like the Bible is very useful for conveying information. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I think that's a Philistine. You know what I mean? Like, you know? And then you'd be like, oh, that's Philistine. You know what I mean? And then you got your ites. They were always bad. Your Moabites. You know what I mean? But, you know, you can have a conversation. You know, look at these big C Christian churches. And they'll just go on and on and on and on and on. And it's like, that's not what that says. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you got a brother and, you know, they're using words like Yeshua and, you know, Mosaic Law and Abba, then you got a whole other group where it's in Jesus' name we pray, amen. You know what I mean? And then you can pray against certain things, and then you can pray for blessings. You know what I mean? And yeah. So if you establish with your people, you know, which way are you going and how are you talking above, over, and around? You know what I mean? The conversation. You know what I mean? Is it a cornfield? You know, is there too many ears? Is there someone listening? You know what I mean? So back in the day, and all this code talk come from marijuana. I mean, back in the day, now see, these kids don't know this. The reason they legalized marijuana is to shut down the underground that would, you know, you had to jump through hoops to go get a bag of weed. I mean, for real, like, if you wanted a 20 sack, you had to be affiliated, you had to know somebody that knew somebody, and he's got a whatever, and then, like, you know, they're liable to run you around for a while, you know what I mean? Like, oh, let's go over here, oh, let's go over there, whatever, you know. Yeah, I can get it. I don't have it, but I know where it's at, you know, and, you know, there's 3 people east of town, you know what I mean? It's like, I remember I started my buddy Red one time, and he said, I was like, hey man, where's the weed at? He's like, east, far east. You know what I mean? And we knew the same connects that were out that way. And it's funny because I'm actually taking a load. I'm going to drive right past 2 of them. And one spot was like the down south. You know what I mean? There was upper south and down south, and there was like 8 dudes named Dave. I don't know why everybody was named Dave. And one guy was Tequila Dave that only drinks vodka. And everybody had these great. It's kind of like you see it in the inner city stuff and on movies and stuff like that. But the redneckery is so much different, and they tried to break the spine of the actual people. And as part of that, you know, the replacement migration, they have their own thing. You know what I mean? So you get these groups of people, you know, and they get together. They're all Trinidad, Nicaragua, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? And they're trying to establish this route to bring in the poison to kill everybody, whatever it's like that. Well, that ain't what we were doing. We were just like, it's a dry county. Where's the keg party tonight? You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to, you know, find the girls in heat type of deal. And then we all smoked weed. Like, everybody smoked weed. Like, everybody. There was like 2 or 3 that didn't. Like, they would still show up at the keg party because what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? And then somebody's got to pull security. And then it gets to the point where you're like paying the police chief to look the other way. You know what I mean? And knowing how all that goes. And yeah. And like everybody, the weed was just growing in somebody's backyard or in somebody's basement. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you were getting some international shipments and blah, blah, and all this crazy bullshit. You know what I mean? The cash crop of Oklahoma was pot. don't you know, do all this stuff that messes up the groundwater. You know, real basic stuff like if you're going to dig out all the lead in Picture, Oklahoma, go ahead and clean up your waste. You know what I mean? Why there's not a law requiring that, I have no idea. That's the most, you know, amazingly retarded part of business. You know what I mean? But there again, like the greed, right? So it's like, you know damn well you're poisoning all this shit. Clean it up, you know what I mean? And if you're going to extract whatever from the mine,
There's a 7-minute slowdown in 3 miles. You're still on the fastest route.
if you're going to have the offshore drilling rig, how about the requirement that you, like, you know, cap the well and get all your junk out of the Gulf before you move on, before you sell, instead of selling it to some shell company, but then they just go out of business and they get around it. You know, like you build, you remove, period. In the story. You know what I mean? Like, it's not transferable. You know, that requirement to clean up is non-transferable. Very simple fix. But just like that police chief getting paid to look the other way, there's somebody somewhere getting paid to look the other way. You know what I mean? And then what do you get left with? You know, you got all these under pressure, you know, hydrodynamic pressure from the earth itself with this rusty capped wellhead and this, you know, platform just floating out there, just rusting. You know what I mean? Who knows if it's leaking or not? Is anybody looking? Probably not. Yeah, it's something else, man. It's something else. And just looking at all of it, you know, just common sense, love your neighbor like you love yourself. You know what I mean? Just real common sense type of deal. And it would all be fixed. Am I going to take $5,000 to carry mystery box from A to B? Fuck no. See that Mercedes right there? Man, they're just eat up with the dumbass. I mean, you know, he probably pays for uninsured motorist coverage too. And he's the jackass that's going to cause the wreck. You're fixing to see some stuff. Here's your bonus footage. What really happens driving through Austin. Now, see, he did all that to get over there and go slow. Is he going to try to cut me off? Oh, there we go, see? Now, if I was smart, or if I wanted to be a jerk, I would ride right beside that guy all the way to the end. Keep him right there by the trailer tires where he can't swerve right around to mess up traffic. He did all that just to get in another lane, and yeah, he's back there swerving around some more. Yeah. Why? What's the point? You know what I mean? And that's probably some dude that took the $5,000 that ain't from here. That doesn't have the patience to put their life at risk for what? For what? You can't just like get up and start driving 15 minutes sooner. You know what I mean? It's like I drove down I-35 and the traffic was bad. So to get to where I need to go, maybe I should leave a little sooner. I didn't like, so I don't want to tear up my equipment or die. Maybe I should just like cruise down through there. Is that him? Oh, there he is. There he is. He's right beside us. Let's see if he gets up here and cuts us off. Oh, she's got her hands up. She's doing the WTF hands in the air. Oh man, we've all been there. Why are people so mad at traffic? Like everybody does it too. Everybody does it. This is that guy that was in front of us earlier. And there she is. Well, I gave her the thumbs up. She gave me the finger. Relax, lady. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, uninsured motorist coverage. You better get that. You better have that. For real. Like, go ahead and pay that extra. I ain't even joking. No joke. You need gap insurance and you need uninsured motorist coverage. You want a vehicle with bumpers. Big steel bumpers. For real. Like, I'm not even joking, dude. Like, if the shit says ranch hand, you're doing good. Like you're in the ballpark. Iron Cross, ranch hand, stuff like that. Like if you could go somewhere and say, hey, weld a winch to this bumper for me, you're where you need to be. You know what I mean? Look at all these soft vehicles. See all that? I mean, it don't take nothing. It don't take nothing for these things to be destroyed. Even these trucks. This truck I'm driving right here. Okay, you see that Ford pickup right there? It has a bumper. It has an actual bumper. It looks like plastic, but there's metal underneath there. Go ahead and take that off and put you a ranch hand on there. You see that Tahoe right there? Yeah, it's got kind of a bumper, but not really. They look at the back of all three of them right there. Especially that Malibu on the right. It's real easy to see that one. That big old piece of plastic. And then it's got styrofoam underneath there. And it's just got this little bitty sliver of metal. You know what I mean? And that thing is designed. All of these are designed to crumple up and keep you from dying, right? So all you gotta do is take you a dribble, cut through the plastic, and extend out from the frame. However you need to do this, and just run you some tubular or some square, like 2-inch square steel. You know, the like an 8-foot stick of it's like $4. You know what I mean? Drill a hole in that, freaking bolt it to your frame, run it out the back, and then just you see that DOT bumper on that truck? That's 4-inch square. That's what you want. You want one of them sticking out the back of that Highlander right there. First person that figures that out, dude, like metal bumpers. Put metal bumpers on your vehicle. Put a strip of DOT tape on there. You know what I mean? You could get a welder. I've had a welder put one on a truck. They charged me $175. I said, how much did that steel cost you? He said, well, I spent about $1.20 for the nuts and bolts and about $20 for the steel. And then, you know, he had his time and effort and shop and blah, blah, and, you know, whatever. I gave the man $200 and said, thank you, sir. You know what I'm saying? Now, you let any of these cars hit that DOT bumper. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll fold up like it ain't nothing. And I want to get one, and I want to do bumper cars. You know what I mean? Like for real. If you own a body shop or whatever, let's do some kind of bumper car conversion. Okay, where you get one of these cars, not like that Hyundai right there, or this CX-30. Okay, now let's say that you got bumper on the front, bumper on the back, and and then a bumper going down the side. And you just reach out the window and grab this piece of metal and lift it up and then open the door. You know what I mean? And then when you shut the door, you fold it back down. You know, like a Lambo door, but not a door. A steel bumper. A steel bumper for side impacts. You know what I mean? Like, for real. I'm going to build me a truck one of these days that's got that. I'm going to put a ladder rack on the sucker. I'm going to put a flat bottom boat upside down on the ladder rack where I can add tarp and boom, it's a camper. And then down each side, do the awning deal. But instead of having an awning hanging on there, I'm going to do one of those storefront deals. You know how the storefronts in like New York have the steel that comes down? You know what I mean? So I can just pull up and park and just slide this thing down, and then at the corners of the ladder rack, have it sticking out all the way to the front bumper, and then have a ranch head front bumper with the, you know, probably just a 2-inch, not a 4-inch upper. At the corners, all 4 corners, and then you just take a full awning down both sides of the vehicle, full length of the vehicle, ladder rack to match the length of the vehicle, and then I just pull up somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this don't look copacetic. You know what I mean? You just slide them down, and then have one on the front to just slide that down too. You see what I'm saying? So now, like, you know, you're fully secured. You know, front, back, side to side. You just pull up somewhere and just slide them down. Maybe put them on a winch where I just push a button in the truck. You know what I mean? I'll just pull up to somebody's house. I'm just like, you know, not today. Push the button. It goes all the way around, so they can't put a fucking boot on your vehicle. You know what I mean? Like, all they can do is park you in. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that would be cool. Like, that would be so cool. And then if you had the come on truck, like, what are you doing that truck? I hate this thing. I don't know why it does it. Like, that angle, because I'm going downhill, like, it drops 5 gears. See, all that was just because it decided to. See, I turned the jake brake off just now. That's all I did. But that thing downshifted. On driving, this son of a bitch won't go over 1,700 RPM for nothing. But with that jake's on, dude, that son of a bitch will tap 2,400 like it's about to blow up. So if you get one of these things, you want to go to the shop and immediately set the limit at 2,000. You know what I mean? But this thing's, I don't know how integrated it is with seeing in front of me or behind me or whatever, but there is some type of, there's something telling it if I'm going uphill or downhill to help the transmission with shifting, but it is hyper aggressive with the jake going downhill. I mean, this thing just, I call it the truck getting scared. Like, sometimes it'll tell you, please slow down. Please slow down. I was on the phone with dispatch one time. They're like, what's that? Please slow down. Please slow down. I said, oh, don't worry, the truck's scared. The truck's scared? What do you mean? I was like, yeah, I get over about, you get over about 85, 90, it starts freaking out on you. He said, 85 or 90? I said, yeah. Or if you're like, 65 and a 30, stuff like that. It doesn't seem to appreciate it. But yeah, look at every one of these vehicles. And you tell me if you see a vehicle that's anywhere close to as strong as that bumper on that trailer. And then when you look at that trailer, I want you to see how much room there is to go underneath that subbitch. So the A-pillar holding your windshield in on either side, is that going to stop your vehicle? You know what I mean? If this dude's turning a U-turn, you know what I mean, and you run under the trailer, trailer, like there was a lot of talk about putting these side impacts on the trailers, but it doesn't work because they would still have to be so high that you still have the same problem with a small car. Because the breakover angle, see, of like you'd be getting stuck on the damn railroad tracks and stuff. Like you'll see these step decks and especially the low boys. Man, there could be a hump in the road that's just 2 inches tall, and they'll get stuck. Be out there working that 7-inch over giant pain in the neck. My uncle specialized. He did that for a long time with a low boy boat trailer. But you can see like this Toyota to trailer ratio. You run underneath that thing, dude, it's just instant decapitation. Like you're beat, it's over. And those ones that's got a skirt, that's just a flap of fiberglass. It's nothing. Like in the wintertime with the snow and everything, I'll tap on it and go ahead. I see you. Let's see if we get a little tap back. I'll flash my lights at him to let him in. Is there any courtesy? No. You know why? Because they're probably from freaking Mexico and don't know nothing. You know what I mean?
There's a 5-minute slowdown in 3 miles. You're still on the fastest route.
Now he's definitely from California. He's just going no matter what. You see what I'm saying? So, and yeah, definitely California. Did all that to cut me off, and then no intention of, keeping up with the Mercedes. So, that's the thing. Yeah, just every one of these things, just plastic. I mean, you get a 98 Dodge 4-wheel drive dually and like 12 valve and maybe a 24 valve, whatever. I prefer the 12 valve because it's mechanical anyway. Easier to work on. Yeah, and you just drop that 7-inch in like first gear with the 6-speed, have that range hand on the front, and just keep digging. Dude, you can push all these cars out of the way with a branch hand bumper. You know what I mean? There's a type of gate that I think they came out in Australia where you literally hit the gate to open it, and it just swings open, and then it's just on a spring. And once you get past it, it just swings back shut. And they're pretty cool. And like half of these cars, the freaking airbag will go off. You know what I mean? So it's not very practical in plastic land. So he's going to open up now for just a second. We're going to step sideways here. When appropriate. There we go. That's letting all the yahoos take off. We'll see if old Mercedes catches up. She might have got ahead of me already. I don't know. I lost track of her. Me and my uncle, when he was still driving, we would kind of play tag with each other about getting the finger. We'd get flipped off in traffic, and he'd say, well, 4 more, and that's a friendly wave. And well, they're just waving at you one finger at a time. And we're heavy, so we're taking off slow. I'm running 55, putting TNIs up there, whatever. You know what I mean? So what's happening now, by doing this, we got, the regular folk that's, somewhat sane. They're going to drive up here. There's room for them to get around. And then our left lane, this is going to be hot dog and the riders. You know what I mean? They're just getting it. And, our speed limit now is 60. And I'm, directly 60 miles an hour right now. So why TNI is not going 60 and all over the brake? I do not know. I have no idea. I'm literally going the speed limit. You probably see these brake lights. Probably didn't realize everybody's going downhill. Yeah, that's it. You just didn't realize everybody's going downhill. knows they're all going to stop, too. 'Cause that's what they do. Let's all drive down here and stop. There they go. See that? I mean, all day, every day. That's what they do. All day, every day. We're just going to slide down through here. You got to watch old, I call him Johnny Jumper. They'll jump right out in front of you. So you see how the Ford truck's got a good momentum? And you see how that dump truck with 52 axles, see that gap he had? See what I'm saying? There's that, okay. And there's Johnny Jumper, what'd I tell you? There's old Johnny. He jumped right out there, didn't he? Did you hear that little bit of a squeal? That's from the actually pushing the brake. Or, excuse me, actually letting off the brake. So these brakes in this truck, they're actually collapsed by a spring. And the air, you hear that? Let's see if I can do it again. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Anyway, the air coming out of them is what you hear. It kind of, farts its way to life. So the air pressure is holding the springs open on the air brakes. But the spring is actually what's closing it. And when you push the brake, you're releasing the air holding the spring back. So if you lose air, the brakes just lock up. That's how you're able to leave a trailer, drive off without the hassle of the trailer rolling away. So unattended, the trailer brakes are locked tight. So that's real good. And ingenious, you might say. So yeah, we just gained probably, I don't know, 3 minutes on this situation. But coming down this hill, on the next hill, see, they'll be coming on and off, right? So if I step left one, then when I get up here, there's the opportunity to take the exit, run up the service road, and get back on. But you see how we're just stopped right here? So, Austin skyline in here. We'll do that. See if we can see old Austin. See, there's the guy I was behind. See the Tahoe with the sticker in the back window? Okay, all the way when I started this video an hour and 11 minutes ago, I was directly behind that guy when I started talking about uninsured motorist coverage and the cost of having people that don't know how to drive. The cost of the swarm, the horde, if you will, of uneducated in our societies. See, look at that. See, a Honda Civic, he's going to stick his nose in there. It's Fit, Honda Fit lady. She's on her phone. I can see her typing on the phone. There's no Tahoe again. Yep, there's no Tahoe. Now, he's going to get the jump on us for just a little bit because all these. But when we get up here, they're all going to take the exit. I was hoping to show you the skyline. They're building that one tower. For some reason, they're all covered in glass these days. I don't know why they decided to build everything with glass, but they did. So the Austin skyline is, it's bigger and changing every day. It's pretty wild, actually. Pretty wild. And there's no point in trying to move around at this point in this size of vehicle. You know what I mean? We're just gonna ease down through here. You see the Honda Fit, we'll probably let 3 people get in between us. So that's a grand total of 50 feet, which may have half a second difference and from now until the end of my day. You know what I mean? So some shit is just not worth it, right? So there's the skyline. Let's see if we can do something different. There's the skyline that they're working on. You know what I'm saying? Or we're just sitting here. number one. See, there he is. There's one of them. Okay, now I had one on the side. He tried to do it. I should have stopped right there and just hung out for a minute. Helped him with his life choices. You know what I mean? You don't want to be all caring about it. You know what I mean? Everybody's just trying to do what they got to do. Now, see this next exit? You can take this next exit and actually run up the service road, get in front of everybody. You'll see them doing it quite a bit. I don't know how righteous or ethical that is. But you get down there on the other end, like there's so many of them that know it now. See how many of them's going to do it? So there'll be a gap right here. Here in just a second. That middle lane's going to stop. We're probably going to catch the Tahoe. Then on the other end of it, we're going to sit there and wait. So if you take the right, you see how the right lane's all blacked up? See? And then now what are we going to do? We're going to go up here, we're going to stop again. I believe this is the Brazos River. A lot of people jogging. That's cool. Getting in shape. Having fun. So 2 is about like what it really looks like. So there's 2. This is about what it really looks like in actuality. You know? If you've hung in for this long, you know, least I can do is give you a little show. You know what I mean? And they're building that. That's that one there. One of them on there. I don't know which one it is. But one of them, I think it's that one they're still building right there. It's supposed to be the tallest tower in Texas or whatever. And then when you drive up through here, you can look out the side glass and see quite a bit more. And it's pretty cool. Looks like we got some balloon today. You know, so that's cool. That is a blimp. You know what I mean? See how they're all stopping? I knew they was all gonna stop. See? So let's do a 4 on this. Maybe a 10. Yeah. See, we got us a dirigible. Looks like the Goodyear blimp. Yeah. We're having fun. See what I'm saying? So that is pretty cool. I do like seeing that blimp. Those little white blimps weird me out down on the border, but the Goodyear blimp. I don't know. It's kind of like the Michelin Man, you know. He's a lot cooler, but the surveillance technology on the little white mini blimps, yeah, it's got creeper vibes. Because like you know they're not doing nothing good. You know what I mean? It's like this thing is definitely harvesting my data and keeping an eye on everything. So see, they're just. I mean, I don't even try to mess with them. I just let them all in. You know what I mean? It makes me no difference. I'm going to be cruising down through here doing my thing. I'm not trying to find out if the uninsured motorist covers. Now those little short ones right there, okay, the Cambria, and then you'll see the Fairfield and the Hollywood Suites. Those are around 30. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Of parking garage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, a bunch of them are apartments. I don't know. Kind of got blocked out by the wall of truck. There's no Charger again. He's been doing all he could. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just pick a lane, stay in it. It really don't matter. It don't make no difference. All that changing lane. There goes that blimp. Did you see that blimp? There it goes. You know, it's making the rounds. Like it's literally going in a circle. So, here for context, look at this. Look at these buildings compared to that Caterpillar. You know what I mean? Like it ain't no joke, man. Like it's all there. And yeah, so we got the shimmering tower right there. It's kind of got some shimmer, you know. it's just all glass. You know, the whole thing's glass. So that's where all your comedians and stuff are. You know what I mean? And then, you know, we got this deal here. This thing is kind of neat. See what I'm saying? It's just all glass. There's Indeed. Used to, you could see the Capitol building down in there somewhere. There's no Slick. He's going to mess with that for us. So that's a thing. You know, I don't know what's going on. There must be something really special today. Because, like, there's an airplane. There's an airplane dragging something. It says something. There's your old blimp. You know? So that's a thing. Oh, there's the Capitol building. Look, it don't look like nothing now. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there it is. When we was getting the CDL, we drove down here and had to go to that building to get some stuff for Tracy. And there was it was one of the biggest buildings. And then now, like, all that glass, I don't know about all of it, but a solid 70% of those glass buildings were not there. And that changes. I don't know if they did that to, like, reflect the sun. You know what I mean? But, like, depending on where the sun's at, dude, sometimes you can't see shit. Like you really can't see. It's pretty substantial. And this is every day. Every day. You're never going to drive through Austin. You come through here at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to be a slowdown. You know what I mean? And yeah, I can step left one lane, and I might be a half a mile, maybe 5 minutes faster, but I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm just over it. You know what I mean? You make your miles, and you run your race, you know, the way that you do it. You know what I mean? You want to be real peaceful so you don't have a stroke. And then you want to be, you know, get away from the Mountain Dew so you don't get diabetes type of deal, right? So with that, you don't wreck the truck. Stay away from your cardiovasculars. Hey, there's a good one. She's waving and everything. She stuck her hand out, waved, and got a whole lot of yards. That was good. Yeah, see, nice half throttle takeoff. We're having fun. We're just, you know, easing, and that's going to give us our fuel mileage that we like. We like good fuel mileage. Let's pop back out. Okay, there's the big picture. It's good. I think one's about right. Put that down in the comments. You know, which one. Hopefully they don't drop nothing out of this dirigible. That is the Goodyear blimp. You know what I mean? Right. The full-size Goodyear blimp. I mean, how much stuff could they put in there? Why is the blimp in Austin on September 6th? Like, what's going on around here? Is there some special something today? I do not know. Oh man, that was almost bad. See, look, they're all stepping left. What do you got to the right up here? Now watch this. This is where experience comes in. See, all the people that tried so hard to do what they were doing.
In a quarter mile, keep left to stay on I-35 North.
Good job. Good job, everyone. You guys did a fine job.
Keep left to stay on I-35 North.
I'm really proud of them. Taking the time to get out of my way. Look at this nice nice open road right here.
Continue for 136 miles.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we got a bunch of flags over there at some arena. There's a football stadium. Looks like there's people in the football stadium. Oh, we got us a Longhorns game. That's Longhorn Stadium over there. Hook 'em horns type of deal. That's what it's all about. They got a college football game. Texas Longhorns. That's why everybody's around. And if you'll notice down here, they're not moving. Notice up here, we are moving. We're gonna run her up to about 60. We ain't got nobody behind us. This actually becomes the center lane up here ahead. And that's where we'll catch up with the Tahoe. We'll actually pass it probably. They'll slow down again. And then there will be, Tahoe guy. Unless they've stopped somewhere for gas. So, okay, we're up to speed. We're at 60. You know what I'm saying? Now we're just going to chill. You know what I mean? Like, relax. Have a snack. You know what I mean? Just breathe. Do some deep breathing. There's Fiesta. You know what I mean? Stop, get you a taco. If you want, some nice skirt steak, fajita meat. It has a great flavor. Very cheap. Chopped up. There's that white Tahoe with the black on the back. But I don't know if that's the same one. Now we had the gray one with the sticker. That's what we're looking for. You see, the GPS hasn't figured out that they've made a different on-ramp back there. So we were on 35 the whole time. We just took the upper level instead of the lower. There's no toll, you know what I mean? And that's what we're doing. Now, if you notice, traffic is still pretty clear. And the so it's all good. You know what I mean? And they're all stuck back here on that 2-lane spot where they're all stalled. You see what I'm saying? Look at the oncoming traffic. You see how that is? Yeah. So that's the thing. Now we're just going to drive like this. You know what I mean? We're going to have spots and sections in the near term that are not as urban. But I mean, this is just concrete junk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, got our little trip from San Antonio to Austin. We're going to wrap this thing up. I would like for you to sit down with your kids, get some popcorn, and, just watch the traffic. Guess where the wreck's about to happen? Every time I train somebody to drive a truck, I tell them this: look, you got a CDL, you know how to drive. I'm not going to tell you how to drive. I'm here to sharpen your skills so you become more professional at your profession. So you're increasing your marketable skills, and you're going to save your equipment. You're going to save points on your license. You might save your life and the life of those around you. I mean, that ain't nothing to sneeze at, right? So, if that's worth a couple hours of your life, I highly recommend it. But generally, in the paperwork phase, get to meet the people, blah, blah, they're doing orientation. Then I would sit with them after orientation. I'm like, hey, you want to get something to eat and just kind of shoot the shit for a while? Cool. And I would go buy them dinner, right? So you buy dinner or whatever else like that. Or sitting there eating. Bring up some car wrecks. They just say, hey, guess where the wreck's going to happen? You know what I mean? And we're just sitting there eating, and you can see it on the thing, and smash this, crash that, whatever. And it's training them to look, to guess when it's going to happen, right? And then you get out on the road, second or the third day. Like you don't want to do this straight out the gate, but the second or third day, back then they had a deal where you could buy the CD and it came with the microphone and all that kind of stuff, and then you buy the headset. So there was a package deal for like $190 or whatever. So you buy this CD radio and the headset, and then the headset, you can control the CD, but you can also use it like a regular attached to your phone headset, you know, Bluetooth or whatever. So it's a Bluetooth device that you can do your speech to text, and you can control your phone talking, and which is real good, you know what I mean? And then the magnet mount, I'll get one of them like after dinner, like, you know, hit the truck stop, blah blah blah, hey, it's been a long whatever, yada yada, I think this is going to work out just fine, you know what I mean? So like you pay for their dinner, because they're broke, man. They just got out of school, now they're starting a new job, they don't know shit. It's a, you know, whole different lifestyle or whatever. So you want the old school vibe where we would sit around the table and shoot the shit and tell jokes. You want that vibe because the job will break your spirit if you're not careful. It gets y'all mad if you're like, you know, road rage all the time and hurry, and why did they change the, you know, destination and the time to be there and trying to schedule this, that, and the other. My wife's mad. I ain't been home in 2 weeks. You know, all the joys will break your spirit. That's why so many people quit. So, developing a system to train real drivers to be career-minded. That's the shift that we need. You know what I mean? That's what we need as a nation, right? So anyway, I found it. On the third day, you go to the truck stop, hey man, check this out, right? And I would buy that headset and radio. Well, guess what? Now, I walk back there and I'm waving at them and getting them to park and everything else like that, and I push the button on my phone, and I'm wearing my headset. And now I can talk right in this dude's ear while he's backing up. Be like, hey man, turn left. You know what I'm saying? Instead of standing there, you know what I'm saying? Like, we done did the, you know, a fist is stop, motion is go, and, you know, I'm holding my hands wide and collapsing them to show how far you are from the dog type of deal, when to stop, and all that. So, we've established hand signals, right? And then I get a red pair of gloves and a yellow pair of gloves. That way, it helps with the hand signals. You know, come on back, come on back, come on back with the yellow glove, and then stop, making a fist with the red glove. Because yellow is caution and red is stop, right? So that's a handy technique. Training a new guy. So day 3, I buy this stuff, and I'm like, look, man, and then I take him to the side. I say, hey, man, I'm gonna buy this for you, everything like that, whatever. Just don't tell nobody, you know what I mean? Just keep it between me and you. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, if anybody says something about whatever, you know, and explain to them, you know, I've seen people fight, literally have a fist fight.
In 2 miles, take the exit toward North I-35 frontage road.
Over a couple dollars an hour difference at a factory. Well, I've been working here longer, blah, blah, this thing. So you never talk about money. So you got to tell them, hey, look, man, whatever you were doing before, you know, cool. What you're doing now, this is to finance your dream. You know what I mean? Even if this is not your forever career, whatever you want to do, the truck can't give you the money to start that business. You know, you want to start that restaurant. You want to, you know, get that, you know, concrete pumping truck business. You know, whatever. You stack your, save up, you know, however you see fit, whether that's, you know, savings account, real estate, stock market, whatever. You know, you pour, you know, 40% of your income, you know, 10% to God.
toward North I-35 frontage road.
Year 3, flip the truck, buy a $10,000 truck. Year 4, $5,000 invested into somebody else's dream. Year 5, invested in somebody else's dream for $5,000. Now,
Take the exit toward North I-35 frontage road.
before you start your business, where you're going to use your money to finance your dream, right?
Continue for 1.5 miles.
So instead of taking that exit, we're just going to ease through the slowdown up here because there's no point taking that exit.
There's an 8-minute slowdown caused by crashes in 1,000 feet.
8 minutes.
You're still on the fastest route.
What's 8 minutes out of my life? You know what I mean? It's no big deal. It's really no big deal. It's 8 minutes. Okay, cool. Is that going to make me or break me? No. Am I going to stop here? You know what I mean? I might set my brakes and reach back there and grab something to eat. You know what I mean? There's in tow, clean title, in window. That's what he says. That's in tow right there. I don't think you're in tow, buddy. You're driving that sucker. Anyway, so that's the thing. That's some of the stuff I would do to train the new people, you know, because now, like me and him, you know, we're buddies. We've had dinner. You know what I mean? There's some training stuff goes on, and then the first week they're the only ones that can drive. Like you just gotta sit there and take it, right? And then by the third day, you get them their own radio, their own headset. Now when they get their own truck, they have a CB radio. They have a headset. They have experience seeing you call out things. You know what I mean? And all that. You got your devices set up where they're being used properly. You know what I mean? You got your push to text to talk. You're setting up your ELD set up right. You're, got multiple devices. You got your Google Maps. Like even right now, it's got what I can see on my end of this deal is Google Maps running, and it's showing me some stuff. And then on the other device, it's showing that Waze, and that split Waze. The other side of the screen is the ELD. So we got a dash cam going and an ELD, Google Maps. That's what's been talking. And then I got the other one, Bluetooth to the radio. You see what I'm saying? So I just got the radio turned down so Waze is not talking. You know what I mean? And we got our dash cam going, looking at me, looking at the outside. And then we got the ELD pulled up on the tablet. To be DOT compliant, that mount is actually screwed to the dash. And these other ones are magnet mounts. One on the window, one here on the dash, and there's a secondary on the dash that I film with from other angles. And I've been accused of distracted driving and beat that in court because it's not distracted driving. I mean, have you ever talked to somebody while you're driving down the road? Is that illegal? Have you ever listened to the radio? You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever used GPS to get somewhere? You know what I mean? It's completely legal. So anyway, is that old Charger right there? Did we catch him again? Is that the same guy that was swerving in Austin? And did he make it any faster? Let's get up here and get a look at it. Oh, he's wavering back and forth. It is him, the gray truck driving. Yep. Yeah, go back to the beginning of the video. 15801 MSM is the trailer. And then we got this gray truck. I don't know if it'll show him swerving back and forth or not, but I suspect that trailer also has the 5. I know that trailer has the 5 brake lines. Yeah, BKFS Logistics. And he goes 68 mile an hour. He's got a sticker on the window, so he got it inspected somewhere. That's an owner off pulling. He's doing power only, pulling for charger. That's what he's into. And then, but he's got a charger mud flap on the truck. So that means he's probably, I can deduce, he is probably a lease operator. So he has leased onto Charger, and they got their brand of mud flap. Yeah, he's got the 5. He's got the 5 brake lights, and only 3 light up properly. Oh man. They always have all these lights, and they don't work. That's a great idea. At least he quit swerving back and forth. I'm glad to see that he's figured out to just stay in the lane. He's been driving long enough. I guess he was just having a bad moment. Yeah, if he's a lease operator, he's been on the road for a while. Anyway, there's more of the same. We call this more of the same. This is I-35. Any day, any conditions, doesn't matter. And as you'll see here on the right, a big, beautiful overpass. It's going to be great. They'll get all the lanes open. By the time they get those lanes open, they'll shut these lanes down and work on them again. So you take off, you drive for a little bit. It's like, cool. Then you get to the next county, and they got their county project. Because this is how they... I bet that exit would actually be faster if I take that exit right there. Is Charger going to take it? He is not. I'm going to take the exit and see if it's any faster.
Onto North I-35 frontage road, then use the left lane to take the ramp to I-35 North.
See that arrow? I don't know if y'all can see it. There's obviously an arrow. They've had a wreck or something. And there's obviously an on-ramp right past that. So, you know, I made the call based on those parameters. Yep, there's a fire truck. So there's been a wreck. Lord, we just come to you in prayer right now. We just ask, Lord, that the people involved in the accident are safe. And
use the left lane to take the ramp to I-35 North, then merge onto I-35 North.
And we thank you, Lord. It looks like a motorcycle. That's bad. Very bad when the motorcycles are involved with the wrecks. So Lord, we lift up the people. We ask that you have mercy on them and their families through this trial. And thank you, Lord, with us at all times.
Continue for 123 miles.
We pray. Amen. So, you'll see a lot of that. And then you'll see like this guy with all this sand that's just blowing out on the road. Yeah, you want to watch out for that. You want to get away from that guy. Because that is going to ruin your windshield. CO Slick, he's probably going to do a brick job. We're going to get all the way away from this guy because we like to be able to see out of our windshield. And that, have you ever heard of sandblasting? That's what happens when you follow that guy. And yeah, that was, you know, the average guy that does concrete in Texas. We'll just leave it there. You're a complete jackass. Anyway, like how hard is it to put a tarp over it? If you have sand, pro tip, you're gonna haul sand, get a long tarp. Put the tarp in the trailer. Dump the sand on top of the tarp, about half of it. Fold the tarp over. At the edges of the sand, take your hand and push the edge up underneath there. That way it kind of feels like a soggy diaper in your hand. The weight of the sand will hold it in place. Like you don't even have to put a strap on it. Just push it up in there about 6-8 inches. You know what I mean? It's just like you're putting panties on a fat chick, right? They do that all the way around. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, you don't have to strap it down. But go ahead and put a strap on it anyway. Right? Now you got like a diaper holding your sand. And then when you get where you're going, you still have sand. And then you don't cause issue for everybody else on the road, especially motorcycles. So, now you're going to see some people that don't make it, and that's disheartening as well. You want to get your prayer life in order, you know what I mean? Like, regardless, you know, people die out here, man. Statistically speaking, this is the most dangerous thing you're going to do all day. I mean, sitting there all day with no exercise, it's got its complications, you know, heart disease and everything, right? And then you got your, you know, pesticides, herbicides, you know, cancer. And then you got like a surprising amount of people die because they fell down. It's, yeah, very bad. Unless you're in Europe, a lot of people die because they don't have air conditioning. So that's crazy. Yeah, so don't wreck the truck. You know what I mean? Be appropriate, right? And do not wreck the vehicle. You don't want to tear up your vehicle. Even if it's a fender bender, you don't want to do the paperwork. Like, you can have a fender bender and this other person just comes to a complete stop in a 75 mile an hour zone, and the other people don't know. And then if you're in a wreck, I pray that you're smart enough to stay in the vehicle and keep the seatbelt on. Roll the window down immediately. All the windows down so that you can receive help and you can receive fresh air. The car's probably not on fire, but the airbag will smell like a fire. Check your passengers. Are they hurt? Check yourself. Are you hurt? All that can happen while you're rolling the windows down. Okay? Look around. Is the wreck over? Did you stop? Cool. Did everybody else stop? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is an ongoing 84 car pileup for whatever reason. Generally, that happens on the ice. So, but it can happen at any time. Anytime. You know, do you have your emergency lights on? Turn on all your lights. Every light you can. The dome light, the flashing lights, the headlights. Grab a flashlight, whatever. Every light you have, every light in the house is on. Let people know that you are there, that you need assistance. If you're good to go, if people are good to go, it's safe to get out. The wreck is actually over. The other cars that had movement have safely stopped around you. Cool. Get out. Look around. Is your vehicle in the lane? Is it on fire? Are the other people, are they okay? You know, is their vehicle okay? Is it on fire? Okay, that's when you want to look for fire. You're not going to, the smell of fire is deceptive because everybody's got airbags and all that. But look for the fire. Do you see fire? You know what I'm saying? Is there fire? And then, do you feel fire? Is anybody screaming? Why are they screaming? You know what I mean? Do you what's happening. Because have your first aid kit ready to go, and then you need one of them a good pry bar, them trucker bars for tightening the straps. You need to have one of them. Can you pry the door open? And then pro tip: have a large landscaper trash bag. If you drive off into the water, grab the trash bag, pop that sucker like you're fixing to put it in a trash can, peach it off, holding the air inside of it. Let the vehicle settle. You know what I mean? When the vehicle settles, just keep breathing. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. We're filled up with water. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Okay? Take your dive. Cut the seatbelt off of it. Then take your knife, tap your window. That way the window breaks. When this breaks, it's going to flood the vehicle. When the vehicle floods, get out of the vehicle. Take the trash bag with you. The bag will be floating. The bag will tell you which way is up. Okay? Then, take a breath. Suck the air out of the bag. Begin to swim to the top. Follow the bag. Whichever way the bag's going. The bag at this point is a floaty. The bag at this point is telling you which way's up. And the bag at this point is your oxygen tank. So, a big old contractor bag, that's a 55-gallon sack, you know what I mean? And hopefully, your vehicle has stayed intact enough to inflate this bag. If not, if you're at the bottom, and it's probably going to be murky beyond the point of seeing, because you're in a semi truck or car and just splash down in the river, the pond, the ocean, whatever. You know what I mean? You can't see. So being able to feel that bag pulling you the right direction. An incident happened, and there was a guy. My uncle was driving. Nobody's talking on the radio. It's cold out, and to quote my uncle, all he heard was "oh shit" on the radio. That's all he heard. So he backed out of it immediately. He started slowing down. He's checking his sides. Two people popped out in the left lane, going past him. Two trucks, and early morning, not a lot of cars. Kind of slick out, wintertime. He comes around the corner, and the whole bridge is ice, and the bridge starts with the corner curving to the right. The two trucks that had popped out to pass, they were increasing speed. He was cruising. He said he was cruising about 55, 60. He heard, oh shit, backed out of it, started slowing down a little bit. He come around the corner at about 45 and was able to stop. The other guys were not able to stop. They busted through the concrete, dropped in the river. They found one guy upstream about 90 yards. So this guy splashed down, made it out of the vehicle, began to swim, but he did not swim up. He started swimming upstream. So there was a little bit of a flow. And, but he was disoriented. He did not know which way was up. If he would have knew which way was up, he totally could have swam to the top. He was 90 yards upstream where they found him. So this guy was a hell of a swimmer. You know what I mean? 90 yards swimming after you wreck a truck underwater holding your breath. I mean, he's frisky. You know what I'm saying? He's trying. This dude was not a quitter. He wanted to live. He did not have the forethought nor the tools to live. He didn't have a CB radio to hear, oh shit. So that man died for a lack of training anywhere near around us. And there was this car, and it was sitting kind of low. And it's sitting on the side of the road. Got his blinker on. He's about a foot, maybe a foot and a half off the white line. This guy gets out. He's an old man, old enough to be bald. I don't know how old he was, or whatever, but he seemed kind of feeble. He's getting out of the car, and there's steam coming out of the front of the car. Back then, they used to have a lot of trouble with the cars overheating. And this guy gets out and stumbled. And he's trying to catch himself as he's falling down. He takes 3 steps out into the right lane. Okay, so I'm in the second lane, but like I'm in this lane. See, you gotta slow down for these idiots. See? Now we're just gonna let him think about what he did. See, we made a hole for him. I slowed down 11 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna take my time past this guy. I could be back on the gas now, but I'm not. Just let this guy think about what he did. How he just risked his life over nothing. We'll see him trying to pass again here, maybe. I'm sure. Now we're just gonna stay out here. Leave room for these guys to merge. Okay, anyway, so this guy stumbles out the lane and falls down right as we're passing. Like he hit the pavement right as I'm passing, and I'm leaning to the left. I don't know if this guy's gonna keep. He's gonna make 3 more steps and splat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all the way over. I'm on the rumble strip. I'm running down the yellow line, and see this right here. This 6 lane, 3 coming at us, 3 that we got. Back then, I-40 was a 4 lane, so we just had the 2 lanes and a shoulder. So I'm over here riding this, and he hits the ground, and boy, it really shook me. And I looked at my dad, and he looked at me, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and everything, like it happens. You know what I mean? And man, that's a lesson that I tell everybody. Everybody. I don't care what the law says. I don't care what the traffic's doing, whatever. If you pass somebody that's over, now think about this common courtesy, right? What if you're changing a tire? Do you want me to blow past you at 75 miles an hour right next to you? See, like, look, here's a guy on the side. Let's see what this red pickup does. Okay? So there's a guy on the side. There's the red pickup. I can totally speed up past this red pickup. I'm kind of pissed off people behind me. You know what I mean? I got somebody right beside me by the trailer. You know what I mean? There's a gap to the left and then another truck. So, you know what I mean? Even if I step to the left, this guy ain't going to move over. You know what I mean? I left room for this truck. So I'm just going to ease down a little bit. I'm just going to keep running 68. I can set the cruise right now at 71. But I'm going to keep right where I'm at because I need this guy beside me to decide to get the hell on up the road. You know what I mean? That way, you know, this black Chevy and this other truck, they're all fixing to merge. So I got to stay in this lane. But he's slowing down a little bit, so I'm going to speed up. I just hit the button. Now my foot goes 68 and my cruise goes 71. So now since Mr. Chevy riding beside me decided to back out of it, I'm going to speed up. You know what I mean? I was trying to let him get in front of me to step left. You know what I mean? This is going to merge together 2 more lanes. Okay, now at this point, just to stay out of everybody's way, best thing I can do is you know, go to the top of my speed, which is 71. Okay, now dude's trying to speed up again. Now watch what's going to happen here. He's going to get stuck because he didn't see. He had the chance. Well, I don't think he said he's right beside me. And it's a Mexican lady that's driving. Obviously a Latina lady in a Chevy pickup. You know what I mean? She had all that chance to go and did not. And just now, right beside me, when I said this truck's right beside me, I looked down there's a lady and she's looking at her phone, looking at the road, looking at her phone, looking at the road. You see what I'm saying? keep this up, and I'll get you a car. You know what I mean? Basically what I said. And, well, I said here, you need to do this, that, and the other, whatever. And then, you're going to get blessed, because Christianese or whatever, right? And she's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, I'm thinking a Pontiac. And she's like, a car? I was like, no, I'm going to give you a dead Indian. Yes, a car. What she didn't realize is I'd already been looking at these cars, and I knew that Grand Am's, the right version was actually a pretty good car. And I seen one online, and it was marked down. Ended up buying this car for $800, and they had just redid the brakes and got a deal on the car because the air conditioner didn't work and the radio was messed up. Okay, Texas, right? So what do you do in Texas without air conditioner? You roll the freaking window down. So I know she's going to hear what's going on around her, right? And then her freaking grandparents bought her a radio right up the gate. So that pissed me off. But anyway, she still had the window down, so that's good enough, right? I'll take what I can get on this deal. Can't, thwart the grandparents or whatever like that. Anyway, she's doing right and everything like that. Give her the car and established a pattern of, do right and get her done and all that. So that was good. And specifically that car, because it had brand new fresh brakes. So I go over there and check the thing. I'm driving it, and it's tight. I mean tight. All the steering components are real good or whatever like that. And I can tell that the front struts were new, but nothing had been done in the back. So the shocks was wore out. It was kind of bouncy in the back. And then it was the 3.4 V6 two-door. So it had the little spoiler on the back. Yeah, it looked cool, man. That's a cool looking car. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, sporty. And then it's fast enough to get up and go to get on the road or whatever else like that. So all I had to do was put some shocks on it. Bought this car for $800. You know what I mean? So that's a good deal. And it's good to be able to hear what's going on around you. You got the wind blowing in your face and stuff like that. So you're going to be more alert, more aware. You're going to see things, know things, do the right thing because you're getting the proper inputs. You know what I mean? So, get an older car, then they have problems. Cars have problems. So, at one point, there was, I got to set her down. Hey, this needs tightened up. You're not off the rails, but this is, getting a little squirrely. And she wasn't actually, she was kid folk, but not like my real daughter. You know what I mean? So, anyway, it's this whole, other side of the family thing. I don't know. Anyway, I'm married into the family, and this is like friend of the family, and then those parents kind of, drugs in Dallas, nonsense, whatever. Here's this kid that's just like, the system's like, eat these pills, blah blah, or whatever. And I'm like, hey, let's build a fence. So we spend the weekend building a fence. Doing some Uncle Jesse type stuff, and we actually built the corral, and I stood up the corner posts and said, this is a covenant between us, in remembrance, like how they used to stack the rocks or whatever like that, and so that was a thing. So by Monday morning, when she goes into this thing and they take all these tests or whatever, she has zero depression. She tests completely mentally stable or whatever, you know what I mean? So then they had to have this court hearing and everything like that. So I go to the court or whatever like that, and I'm like, I tell the judge, I'm like, look, bro. I didn't say look, bro. I said, Your Honor, chemicals do not fix the need for a loving family where you belong. She just needed a place to belong. halfway down the driveway, started messing up, proceeded on to town, did not make it to town, had to be towed home. And then, and I had put a chain through the wheel on the back tire and through the wheel on the front tire and put a lock on it. So they cut the lock off. And then they started it up, blah, blah, this and that. Anyway, so now like all the injectors clog and the fuel filter clogs because, certain stuff. Well, I was already fully aware and prepared to change this fuel system out because it needed to be changed anyway. And all that was necessary is to literally drop the tank, get rid of the fuel that's in it, and then put fresh fuel back with a fresh filter. If they didn't try to drive it. But since they tried to drive it, now there's all this other stuff. So then, when the crying on the phone starts, I'm like, I told you don't drive it. What do you mean you had it? And it takes like, 3 weeks before they're like, we drove that car and it broke down. I said, is that right? Well, yeah, it broke down and then we had to tow it. And then we took it to the mechanic. Then the mechanic said, it's this. And it wasn't that. And it was this. And it wasn't that. And it was something
There are
else.
police reported ahead.
I'm sorry. How do I curvy. You know what I mean? So you gotta have a little